Hello there, how are you? Had a good week? Layering Haddock here with another edition of Worth the Buy here on Bearded Budget Media. Now this week we're diving into a film that's 20 years old this year. It's also a film that's a dystopian thriller which is probably even more poignant now than when it was originally released. So let's put on our mask, grab some roses and prepare for the crescendo, and let's dive in to V For Vendetta. So, V For Vendetta follows young TV station worker Evie Hammond, who is running late for a date and is caught after curfew by the secret police, but is saved by a masked man named only as V. Following V's explosive introduction to the country, Chief Inspector of New Scotland Yard and Minister of Investigations Eric Finch is hunting V and unravels more than he expected. V's interaction with Evie in this dystopian world, whilst not changing his life plans, will change the lives of Evie and every person in Britain. I know that's a super vague story summary, but I want you to watch it if you haven't, and I don't want to ruin some of the meaningful bits. If you haven't watched it, maybe pause this, go watch and come back, because after the cast I'll be going into a bit of a deeper dive. Please like, comment, share and subscribe, it really means a lot to me and it helps the channel grow and also helps the almighty algorithm. The casting of this film is brilliant. I mean, the heavy use of British actors, and not all of them being movie actors, with a lot of them being from TV, is a fantastic thing. First up, we've got Evie Hammond, one of our viewpoints into this world, a young woman trying to get by in life like everyone else, whose life has been changed. Played fantastically well by the stunning and often very entertaining Natalie Portman.
I understand what you did for me, and I want you to know I am grateful.
Accent-wise, it's not the worst, and it's not the best, but it's acceptable.
That is not funny, Gordon.
The other viewpoint into this world is from the other side of the coin, and it's an interesting way to tell the story, in it being from the perspective of Eric Finch himself, the head of the investigation into dealing with V. He's played by the Belfast-born Stephen Rea, or is it pronounced Ray?
So do you know what's going to happen?
No. It was a feeling. But I can guess.
If you're of a certain generation from the UK, he's known to many people as the voice of the Northern Irish politician Gerry Adams during Sinn Féin's broadcast ban of the 80s and 90s. The main parts of the government that we see are mainly from a bunker-looking meeting room with a screen for the party leader and High Chancellor of Britain, Adam Sudler, played with a delectably angry and authoritarian way by the acting great that is John Hurt.
Then let me make this perfectly clear to you. The contents of this document are a matter of national security, constituting an assault on the character of several important party members, as well as a blatant violation of the Articles of Allegiance.
Head of the secret police, known as The Finger, is the slippery Peter Creedy, played with a delightful wickedness by Tim Pigott-Smith, who has been in everything from Clash of the Titans in '81, Gangs of New York, and the head of MI7 in Johnny English.
Not so funny now, is it? Funny man.
Creepy Bishop, and involved in the earlier conspiracy, Anthony Lilliman, a delightfully vile portrayal of someone, performed by the corpse of John Arryn in Game of Thrones himself, John Standing.
Mea culpa, my child. Mea culpa.
The propagandist supreme, entitled The Voice of London, Lewis Prothero, a vitriolic mouthpiece for the Northfire political party, played with aplomb by the acting great that is Roger Allam. You may not know the name, but you'll know his face, and he's another Game of Thrones alum.
Did you like that? USA, ulcered sphincter of our surrogate. I mean, what else can you say?
One of my favourite additional roles in this film is Stephen Fry, playing the closeted talk show host Gordon Dietrich, a man who is essentially just Stephen Fry. I do love that in an interview with Film Focus when this film was released, he was asked why he took part, and his response was, being beaten up. I hadn't been beaten up in a movie before, and I was very excited by the idea of being clubbed to death.
I don't have to be Muslim to find the images beautiful, or its poetry moving.
But is it worth it? I mean, if they found that here...
I told you, you'd be the least of my worries.
Lest we forget the man himself, known only as V, and even unmasked, you never truly see his face. Originally cast with James Purefoy in the role, he left 6 weeks into production due to the dreaded creative differences, to be replaced by the legend that is Hugo Weaving.
Why? Because while the truncheon may be used in lieu of conversation, words will always retain their power.
With an incredible vocal range and vociferous use of language, I can't imagine anyone else as V. A comic adaptation pre-MCU that's considered good? Although it did disappoint the comic creator, I mean, in my mind it's still a fantastic piece of cinema. Whether it's the visual style which often makes shots look straight out of a panel, or the twisting tale of betrayal, terrorism, authoritarianism, love, companionship and censorship. Who'd have thunk it was released 20 years ago? And the graphic novel it was based on was actually from 88 to 89, so yeah. Culturally, this film has punched way above I think what most of those involved ever thought it would do. I mean, the film was based on a graphic novel that had been out for nearly 20 years at the time, and there were numerous changes from the source material to the film adaptation, but did any of them expect the way it was embraced culturally? I mean, this was a film that my best man's dad brought up as a fantastic watch for its message and realistic portrayal of a descent into authoritarianism when I was in my late teens on its release. That's a demographic that the trailers didn't seem to be aiming for, if that makes sense. Now, I know that's not what you thought I meant. Of course, there is the iconography, specifically the Guy Fawkes mask worn by V himself. Now, it has become a mask that's at nearly every protest on nearly every continent. It was adopted by the hacking group Anonymous, and it's seen as a symbol of resistance against tyranny. Don't get me wrong, it's a handy thing to hide your face, but the fact that most of them are sold are licensed ones does mean that a giant corporation does profit from it. I don't know. I just find it strange, especially considering the anarchist roots of the graphic novel. I mentioned earlier regarding one of the creators not liking the adaptation. Out of the two main creators, Alan Moore and David Lloyd, which one do you think took the disliking? Of course, it's Alan Moore. He's infamous for disliking any adaptations of his work, whereas David Lloyd has a great quote he gave in an interview with Newsarama stating, "It's a terrific film. The most extraordinary thing about it for me was seeing the scenes that I'd worked on and crafted for maximum effect in the book translated to film with the same degree of care and effect. The transformation scene between Natalie Portman and Hugo Weaving is just great. If you happen to be one of those people who admires the original so much that changes to it will automatically turn you off, then you may dislike the film. But if you enjoyed the original and can accept an adaptation that is different to its source material but equally as powerful, then you'll be as pressed as I was. Don't get me wrong, history is littered with creators not being happy with adaptations of their work, but it makes a nice change hearing David Lloyd being so positive about an adaptation. The cinematography within V for Vendetta is stunning. The dark, grimy, dystopian future Britain, grey and miserable like a wet day in Manchester's Piccadilly Gardens. So many shots that seem to be taken directly from the graphic novel. Saying that, I'm often amazed how long it took before films started using graphic novels and comics as storyboards. You don't have to use it all, but there are panels in the source material that are just too beautiful, iconic, or powerful that should always be transferred in adaptations. But overall, every shot is meaningful and is a feast for the eyes, particularly the shadow gallery. Musically, you can't knock this film. From its heavy use of Tchaikovsky's 1812 overture in 2 separate tracks on the soundtrack, and those uses within the film are goosebump-giving. The use of some lesser-known artists as well as established artists that are shown to be banned under the authoritarian government, with some songs really coming across either haunting or powerful, dependent on the images on screen. I mean, David Lloyd brought up the transformation scene, and again, the use of audio, the editing, the framing of the shots is one of the best scenes in the film. He refers to the film as equally as powerful as the source material, even with the changes. That's high praise indeed. This is a film that personally I think should be covered within education. I mean, I remember my GCSEs being bored reading Shakespeare. Our media component was Forrest Gump. I know people love Forrest Gump, but when you've watched it for the nth time and repeating scenes over and over, it's just not as inspiring as I think the examiners thought it would be. This film is now 20 years on, and it's aged like fine wine. The parallels to our own world, both then and now, is uncanny and can lead to fantastic discussions. Whether it's one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter, government cover-ups and conspiracies, censorship, human rights, vengeance, police surveillance and overreach, it's ripe for discussion and education. So remember, the 5th of November. Gunpowder, treason and plot. I see no reason that V should ever be forgot. I've been Larian Haddock. Catch you next time.
Voila! In view, a humble vaudevillian veteran, cast vicariously as both victim and villain by the vicissitudes of fate. This visage, no mere veneer of vanity, is a vestige of the vox populi, now vacant, vanished. Verily, this vichyssoise of verbiage veers most verbose, so let me simply add that it's my very good honor to meet you, and you may call me V.